Hello, Grace Bible family. For the Elder Blip today, I decided to go with something in the news and something that I've read recently. Because of that, the news story was the Mars rover or whatever that landed on Mars, and the successful landing of that. And then I happened to be reading recently. I've been looking into dystopian novels. You know, after the election, I was a little bit down, and the warning signs are there. So I read myself 1984 again, and I also was doing some research on that. Is that really a good representation of today? What's going on, and do we see the signs? So I actually read some articles from the left, and it mentioned, or one of them mentioned, other dystopian novels that have been written over the years, and I read several of them. But one of them was Out of the Silent Planet, and by C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, come to find out, wrote a dystopian type of sci-fi series on space exploration and warnings about this type of thing. And so he wrote this in 1938. But so I decided to pick me up a copy at the library, which I did, and read through it. And anyway, what happened, the protagonist in this actually is kind of kidnapped, and he's taken up into Mars by these two other guys. And he describes the rocket ship and all that, and the travel and all that kind of stuff. And they get there, and no, C.S. Lewis was not, he argued against space travel, actually. He said, here's what he thought about it. We know that we are fallen. Why would we bring our fallenness to the stars? So he was concerned about us exporting our sinful nature to potentially other species and other things like that out on other planets. He was unsure about this. Is there life other places? So anyway, the guy goes up there, and sure enough, they land on Mars, what we figure out becomes known as Mars, and the silent planet. There's this whole vegetation and everything. The water's different, and they have these alien species there. And we come to find out that the two men took the protagonist, kidnapped him, took him up to Mars, basically to be a sacrifice to these people, so that they could engage in commerce there. Well, anyway, it winds up that one of the alien creatures gets killed. And they don't do that there. They don't know anything about it. So it's like they're sinless, and he gets killed, and this is a weird thing. So we're exporting our sin nature to this thing. So a very interesting book, and fun. I need to read the other two this summer. But anyway, so then I'm looking at Albert Mohler and this concept of space exploration. Do we as Christians need to be concerned about space exploration? And the answer from Albert Mohler is no, that we do not. I'm going to quote him here from one of his briefings. We come to understand that God made the universe in order that on planet Earth he might display his glory in the redemption of human sinners who had rebelled against him, that through the blood and atoning sacrifice and through the resurrection of his own Son. For the clearest testimony to this truth, we don't look through a telescope, but rather to Scripture, where we read, for example, in Colossians Chapter 1, beginning in verse 15, I'll read that. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things were created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, where thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him. And he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. He is the head of the body of the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in everything he might be preeminent. Everything. So we're talking all of creation. And as Christians, there's just some things we just don't know. The Bible is silent on. And we don't need to fear them. We know that Christ created, for all things were created in heaven and earth, visible and invisible, by God. And that's what we have comfort in. We don't need to fear what might be discovered out in the universe. Okay, thank you for now. Hope that was in some ways interesting, and do your own research. Bye-bye.